Different schools teach various methods of power generation. The one method that I'll look at today, I call vertical power generation. It's different from rotational power generation. And since all technique is defined and dictated by the movement of your joints, and there are quite a few joints throughout the torso of the human body, I look at 4 general areas of focus. Those 4 areas are your hips, spine, ribs, and shoulders. And for each of those areas, we have 3 positions that I call either closed, neutral, or open.
The anterior and posterior pelvic tilt are most easily seen while seated. The anterior pelvic tilt I call an open position, and the posterior pelvic tilt I call a closed position. You can check your mobility here by alternating between the closed and open hip positions while ensuring that your spine remains upright. The great thing about this exercise is that it really shows the link between the hips and spine in relation to the upper body, while everyone already knows how important those are to the lower body because of our last video that went over stance structure.
My favorite exercise for spinal mobility is essentially a Jefferson curl with some variation. So to do a Jefferson curl, or my variation of it, we start the same way where we tuck our chin and then roll down 1 vertebrae at a time as far as we can. And to come back up, we do the exact opposite. So we keep our chin tucked, we go down, 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 nice and slow. And then when we come back up, we do the same thing in reverse. Hips first, curl, up, all the way up. And you want to do this slowly as necessary, letting your weight hang down. And then when we come back up, I like to add 1 extra opening, just like stretching in the morning, to work on that spinal flexion and extension at the end. The expansion and contraction of the rib cage is probably the most difficult aspect of these upper body dynamics. Now, the ribs themselves actually don't move very far because of the intercostal muscles between them that connect them, and then the fact that each rib, other than the last 2, are connected to the sternum and the spine. So it's not individual movements in themselves, but the full expansion and contraction of the rib cage as a whole that makes best work for upper body dynamics for power generation. The simplest way to express this expansion and contraction initially is just by a deep breath. So as a full inhale, we expand the rib cage, and with full exhale, we contract the rib cage. And as you get used to that type of motion, you'll learn to be able to apply that consciously at will with different techniques through your kata. The last area of the upper body to analyze for power generation now is the shoulders. The shoulders are unique in the fact that they're the only part of the upper body dynamics that aren't at least partially dictated by the movement of the spine, whereas your hips and ribs are. My favorite exercise to work scapular protraction, as this is called, is a push-up, but you cheat, where we only drop in our body, squeeze our shoulder blades together on our back, and then we press our body up as far away from the floor as we can. And that is where you get that scapular protraction. We drop down and then back up. And then back down, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then back up as far as you can. Now, once you've gotten used to all of these movements, you can put them all together to exercise for power generation. So we can work on closing in all 4 aspects, the hips, spine, ribs, and shoulders, as strong as you can. Then you can work on doing the same thing the other direction, where you open the hips, spine, ribs, and shoulders as strongly as possible. Right? What's normal for most people is for the closing movement to be more natural because of our fetal position nature. So maybe you want to put more time into the opening, maybe not, your choice. So once you get used to this movement, you can do this in counts of 1, 2, and 3, where you do a single movement per count, just closing or just opening. You can do counts of 2, where you go close, open, or you can go open, close. And then you want to move into counts of 3, where you can go open, close, open, or close, open, close. What's even more fun after that is to go through your kata and find movements that work each side independently and work on those movements that work with opposites. Lots of fun. I'll finish this off by asking, what's your favorite exercise for power generation? Let me know. Thanks for watching.